What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome to beautiful, gorgeous, stunning Punta Mita, Mexico. Look at this beauty behind me. In this video, I want to share 5 pieces of advice for people in their 20s, particularly their early 20s, but even their mid-20s or late 20s, because I am 29 years old. And I'm turning 30 in just a few months. And I have been doing a lot of thinking lately, a lot of reflecting. I am very happy with how my 20s have turned out. I'm very happy, very grateful, very much looking forward to my 30s. I don't really have many regrets. And I've been trying to think, why is that? What are the things that I did in my 20s that I think were very good, that I'm very grateful I did? And these are the things I'm going to share with you in this video. So, 5 things. Let us begin with number 1. So, advice number 1 for someone in their 20s, or of course earlier than your 20s, is lift. That's right, lift. One word. Lift weights. Go to the gym. Do weightlifting. Bodybuilding. Why? There's so many benefits to lifting weights. Honestly, trust me, I honestly think this is the most important piece of advice I could give you. And it will infiltrate all aspects of your life. Business, relationships, general happiness, health. You will feel good. You will feel good like mentally, physically. You will become more confident. Trust me. There's one thing you should do when you're in your early 20s. It's lift. I started lifting when I was 15 years old, and I'm really glad that I did. I've been doing it nonstop since then. Of course, sometimes, my focuses in life have been a tiny bit different, so I had to put lifting on slightly back pedal, but overall, lift. It's been a staple of my life, and I think it should be a staple of yours. You will not regret it, and it will be much better if you start lifting in your 20s than if you have to start lifting in your 30s or later. Piece of advice number 2. Number 2 is sacrifice. Sacrifice. What do I mean by that? I think that the decade of your 20s should be a decade of sacrifice. You should be sacrificing short-term pleasures for long-term pleasures, I guess, or long-term benefits. You should embrace short-term discomfort, short-term, not sadness, but short-term, discomfort. Like you should be okay with not doing certain things that you want to do in your 20s, like less partying, less going out, less playing video games, less just having fun, less maybe traveling, in exchange for setting yourself up for the future, such that when you get to your late 20s, early 30s, and the rest of your life, you can do this. You can suddenly go and travel. You can suddenly play video games. You can suddenly do whatever the hell you want because you have set yourself up for success. And here I'm sure that some people are going to disagree with me. Listen, a lot of people will tell you, hey, when you're in your 20s, you're young, you should enjoy your life, you should, embrace your youth and the fact that you can do certain things that you won't be able to do when you're older. And look, I think there is some merit to that, there is some truth to that, but to be clear, I'm not advocating that you not enjoy your life. I'm not advocating that you become like a monk and you not do anything. I certainly traveled in my 20s. I certainly had fun in my 20s. But I honestly think that overall, the sort of general theme should be one of sacrificing in exchange for long-term benefits, like investing in your future. You delay gratification. That is the theme, delayed gratification. And your older self will really, really, really thank you. Now, advice number 3, piece of advice number 3. This one is also going to be probably a little bit controversial, but listen, if you're watching this video, you probably want to hear this kind of controversial advice. Advice number 3 is during your 20s, you should focus as much as possible on making money. You should focus, and let me rephrase, you should focus not only as much as possible on making money, but you should focus on making as much money as possible. Trust me, your older self will be very, very grateful, okay? Money is very important. Money can make your life a hell of a lot easier, a hell of a lot more enjoyable, particularly as you grow older. It can open a lot of different avenues and a lot of different experiences. And, I think that focusing on making a lot of money in your 20s is a very, very, very good goal to have for your future. And, this goes back to the point before, which was of making sacrifices. And, you have to make sacrifices and invest in your future across many different dimensions. For example, if there are certain hobbies or certain skills that you would like to acquire that aren't necessarily related to making money, you should, sacrifice things to acquire them in your 20s. However, what I'm advocating is that on top of all that, you make it one of your main priorities, if not your main priority, to make a lot of money in your 20s. Okay? So that's advice number 3. So of course, if you're, a software engineer, as a lot of my viewers are, then you probably want to get a high-paying job. And for that, you're going to want to check out my company, AlgoExpert, algoexpert.io. Use the promo code CLEM, CLEM, for a discount on the platform to nail your technical interviews and make a lot of money by landing a high-paying job. Now, this brings me to point number 4. So point number 4, a piece of advice number 4, is very related to the previous one, but I think it deserves its own sort of point, and it's that you should really invest. And here I'm talking financial investments. Invest early and a lot. As much as you can, invest. You've all heard of compound investing, I'm assuming. You've all heard of the how much compound investing, how long of a way it can go, particularly as you start early. And math doesn't lie. It's true. And you should really try to invest as much as possible early. That's something that I'm very thankful that I did when I was working at Google and Facebook, and with AlgoExpert on the side. I was living with my parents at the time. I lived with my parents basically for 3 years after college, and so I was saving so much money from not having to pay rent and all that, and from not having to pay for food because I had food at work. So I had very few expenses, and I invested basically all that money. For the first 3 years of my life, it was virtually every dime that I was making, I was investing. And then for the first 5 years of my 20s, I was investing, I would say 80% of my income. And that really, really set me up very well for the latter half of my 20s. So trust me, invest. It is very, very important, and your future self will thank you. Now, my 5th and final piece of advice, this one is a little bit different than the others. It's might sound generic, but let me try to expand on it. It's to be very mindful of your health. Okay, so when you are in your 20s, particularly if you adopt the kind of mentality that I'm espousing of sacrifice, focus on work, money, blah blah, it's very easy to forget about your health. Even, mind you, if you're lifting, for example, and taking care of your body by going to the gym and all that, it's still very easy to forget about your health. And there is some merit to forgetting about your health, quote unquote. What I mean by that is health is a currency that you can trade in exchange for money, for example, for hard work to get your business off the ground. You can sacrifice your health by sacrificing sleep, or by sacrificing your diet a little bit, which frees up your time to accomplish other things. And there's some value in that. I'm not saying that you should never do that. In fact, I think if you are smart, there are some times in your 20s where you should do that. Because, by the way, you will not be able to do the same things in your 30s. Even now, I'm not 30 yet. I'm still in my 20s, 29. But I cannot do what I used to do when I was like 21, 22, 23, 24, where sometimes, I would get like 4 hours of sleep, like 5 days in a row while working a full-time job in New York City, commuting, working on Algo Expert and all that. Like these days, if I don't get like at least 7 hours, I start to feel really like just terrible and just not able to function like I used to. So all that to say, like there is a certain place and time in your 20s where you might want to sacrifice parts of your health, but overall, my piece of advice here is be mindful of your health. Do not like ruin your health, because health is much more unidirectional than it is bidirectional. So you can do kind of like irreversible damage to your health, and overall, you shouldn't need to have to sacrifice your health too much to accomplish your goals. There are too many other things that you can sacrifice over your health. You can sacrifice partying, you can sacrifice video gaming, you can sacrifice watching sports over sacrificing your health. But so be mindful of your health. For the most part, try to get good sleep, try to get a good diet. The gym will go a long way, but it's not the only thing. And also be mindful of your mental health. Mental health is definitely important too. And, you can be very much in shape physically, but you can be in terrible health mentally. And so you should be mindful of that. Obviously, it helps to have a support system, it helps to have a loving girlfriend or boyfriend or, partner, husband, wife, whatever. Helps to have good friends and family, and to just make sure that that's in check. Anyway, that is it for my 5 pieces of advice for people in their 20s. I honestly think that these are very, very valuable pieces of advice, at least if your goals kind of align with mine, which have always been to, try to be as successful as I could and then be, very happy as I could, get to experience as many things in life as I could, as many things that this beautiful life had to offer. And, when I think back on my 20s, these are the 5 things that I think were the most important things that I did. And I have very few regrets about these things that I did in my 20s. I'm very happy with where I am now. And on that note, I will go back and enjoy this paradise behind me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you're in your 20s, are you doing these things? If you're past your 20s, did you do these things? Do you have any other piece of advice? Do you regret certain things? Let me know in the comments below. And I will see you in the next video.